Tuesday tip. We decided that since there's so much involved and so many steps to doing an organized move, we're taking this series of move organizing tips and splitting it out from our usual Tuesday tip series. So for the next couple of weeks, probably the next 3 or 4 weeks at least, you're going to get 2 videos from us. One is your regular Tuesday tip from all of our staff on many different topics, and the second will be the next installment of the move organizing. Last week I left you off talking about finding your resources, figuring out who's going to be on your team helping you make this move successful. So I've done that now. I've hired professional movers to help me, as well as some specialist movers to help me relocate my elliptical machine. Gym equipment, grandfather clocks, a lot of very delicate objects. You'll want to have specialists be able to handle these because not all movers are going to be able to relocate those objects carefully and without damage. So I've hired specialist movers for my elliptical machine. Now, one of the benefits of making all those calls and finding all those resources is I've now managed to figure out what the timeline of the move is. So I want to talk to you about the next 2 steps involved in an organized move, which I have now accomplished. The first one is create a timeline. There are 4 major sections to any move. The first one is how long it takes you to organize everything, and that's organize your stuff as well as organize the resources that you need and the planning that you need. The second is how long does it take you to pack. Then there's moving day. That's a whole adventure all by itself. And then it's how long does it take you to unpack. That's 4 sections to any move. So mostly we're talking about the organizing section during today's tip. Create your timeline. When is move day? Work backwards from there. So how long is it going to take you to pack? And then how long do you need to organize your things and to bring in all the necessary resources and make your plans? That gives you a sense of how many weeks you have to work with in order to get you well prepared and on your way to your move. So for me it was about 4 weeks total in terms of getting the resources in place, and now we're down to 10 days before the move and we're starting into the packing phase. Create your timeline, schedule your resources. That's essentially number 2, since last week was number 1. Number 3 is space planning. Now, I told you last week that what's unique about my move is it's not just me moving to a new space, but in fact it's emerging households, because my boyfriend Brian and I are moving in together. Obviously, I have a sense of what my own furniture is, but putting both of our furniture together is going to require a little bit of additional planning, let's put it that way. Brian and I signed our lease, and the first thing I did was take measurements of all the rooms in the apartment. Get a sense of how big the space was and how large the walls are, and then we went on graph paper, creating a standard scale, and created specific drawings of each of the spaces, and then created little cutouts with measurements of all of our furniture, so that we could then decide which pieces were going to go into which room along which walls. Why is this important? Does everybody have to do this? No, you don't. I can tell you though, particularly in a situation like ours, where we're merging households and taking 2 sets of furniture and trying to put them into one space, being able to move them around without actually being in the space, without actually being in the intensity of the emotions of the moment, has been really a blessing, because we can figure out what makes sense and talk it through and explore multiple options without having everybody getting sweaty and exhausted and tired trying to move this over here, move that over there. So we took each of the pieces of furniture, moved them along various walls, tried putting some of his pieces there, some of my pieces here. It gave us a much more, let's call it, comfortable way to really explore what our options were and make sure that we were both signing off on an option we liked. Last week we talked about finding your resources. This week I'm talking to you about timeline, setting your timeline, and coming up with your space plan. How to go about making sure that everything you have is going to fit into the new space you're going to use. Next week we'll talk about an organized packing process. So this is your move organizing tip for this week.